Retro Mike says, when I turn on YouTube and I see the same product being reviewed by every creator on the same day, I just get angry and shut off the app. Thank you. Come back later and dislike every video. And that's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't realize too. And you bring up a very good point, Retro, is that it's so obvious to a lot of people, you're almost giving yourself negative press, right? Because it's so obvious that you're sending all these units out to everybody to sell the unit, and it's just the viewer sees that and is like, bleh, right? I mean, this happens in the tech industry all the time. You open YouTube and it's like 5070 review, 5070 review, 5070 review, 5070 review, and then it turns into the mainstream media. Or my favorite lately has been Assassin's Creed and Dragon Age, right, on the video game side, because I consume a lot of that content, and every reviewer is like, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a return to form. It is. No, it's not. And the thing is that reflects in sales, but then nobody's paying attention to the sales. Right? So hashing Zappa or Hash Zappa said, you keep mentioning kaspa, but if you bought kaspa ASICs in 2024, you broke even easily. I'm not so sure that's necessarily true. I guess it would depend on exactly when you bought it. And he said, however, any kaspa ASIC in 2025 or any ASIC of any other project like Radiant or Lithium, it will ROI never. So maybe I saw it a little bit earlier than most because I did see it back when kaspa first started getting ASICs. He did bring up a good point saying that if anything, the early profitability of kaspa fed the ASIC scams of 2025. I would agree that could be true. And kaspa devs never promoted these scams, unlike the scumbags at Radiant or a dozen of other shitcoin projects. That's an emotionally backed argument that I don't know I can verify off the top of my head. Both kaspa and Radiant were pro ASICs. I don't know that one or the other. And I think both accounts, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think both accounts have shared or promoted or retweeted their miners, which I don't inherently think is an issue. That's going to happen, right? But see the sentiment. People need to start paying attention to the sentiment that viewers are having here, because this post blew up and a majority of people are agreeing, and you need to start listening to the viewers. Nelson said, 100% I refuse to watch anything with ads anymore. If you promote some crypto mining bullshit, I won't support your channel anymore. I'd even remove a lot of subscriptions to people who advertise this way. I love the creators who tell you it's literally bad, buy, but also do a review because they got it for free and give a link to buy it. Shows you they don't care about you. Now here's one that's I guess antithetical. Says, but if Bitcoin went to 180K and the altcoin season was soaring, the miners would be cleaning up. Not necessarily. There have been ASIC miners for small coins that have released and then not been profitable in the following bull run. Also, here's the other thing that we have to take into account. What we're seeing is not a similar altcoin season. And so I would actually argue that what we've seen in the past as it pertains to the altcoin market soaring no matter what and a rising tide raising all ships is not going to necessarily take place. And it will be the few and far between ASICs that are successful, which brings up the issue with ASICs in general that I've been preaching since the very, very, very beginning, which is ASICs by nature from a business investment standpoint lock you into a single cryptocurrency outside of a few like maybe an Ethereum, an ETH hash ASIC, or, a SHA-256 ASIC, or, you know, obviously the script miners, which are probably the most versatile out of all of them. And the problem with that from a business perspective is that now that you're locked into that, you no longer have the option to move to another cryptocurrency that is successful in this particular case. So it's a poor investment, and that should be stated more. A single shitcoin ASIC on a single algorithm is a poor investment because of the lack of versatility. Big Shifty said, especially since these miners have been proven to be a shocking investment time and time again. Even RPM posted about 5-digit losses on the KSM 5M. Why would any influencer want to promote directly or indirect to their audience about these products? Well, because there's a financial incentive driven, right? Which is part of the problem. He also said, I have disagreed with your point of view on a few topics of late, but I wholeheartedly agree on this. I guess there is the Ice River KOLs, which we'll talk about here in just a second, but we'll move on because that is what he's bringing up, so we'll come back to that. Lo-Fi said, yep, you're not the only one that they will get upset with. I don't know who's going to get upset with me. Here's the thing, man. Like, you can't be afraid of saying things because people are going to get upset with you. And I think like that is true in every relationship in your life. And I have shied away from things out of fear of people being upset with me, but all that is done is make life worse. That never makes life better. Being true to yourself and saying what you think and actually saying what you think the truth is extremely important now more than ever, regardless of who it's going to upset. Eric Crypto said, learn my lesson with Pied Piper creator down the BlockFi shit shoot. Yeah, BlockFi was a mess, obviously. That was one I turned down way back when. But only myself to blame. But I bet if back then I could have read what I just posted, I might not have moved a chunk of Bitcoin into an ill-fated interest-bearing account. And this is why I bring it up. And a lot of people, like, I'm not trying to make enemies. I'm trying to prevent this from happening to somebody else. Genuinely, 100%, that's why I'm doing this. End of the day. Because I want people to know what's going on when they get into the space. And I will be working on a new How to Mine in 2025 video that is going to address all of this. Now this is a pretty popular viewpoint, I think. He says, good words. However, at the end of the day, if these people not fall for the ASIC game, they would eventually fall for something else. If you're not grounded and don't have common sense, you will suffer. I'm not that critical, but if someone mentioned memes, it's an unfollow for me. Which I guess you should unfollow me because I mention memes all the time. And so I mean, like, obviously you don't want to take the fun out of everything too, I guess. But this is on the point of personal responsibility, which I wholeheartedly agree with. People have a personal responsibility for their own actions. Okay? But that also means the people that are promoting these things have a personal responsibility not to promote things that they know are harmful, right? Or to be transparent about what they're promoting. If I had, let's say, a cryptocurrency project, let's call it Doggy Coin, comes to me and gives me 100,000 Doggy Coin to make a video, and I make the video and I say it was sponsored by Doggy Coin, but I don't disclose the amount, right? Because here's the other deal that I think a lot of people get frustrated with. If I don't disclose the amount, which is typically in the agreement, you're not allowed to disclose the amount that you were paid to make the review. Just like in the Ice River agreement that I do have a leaked version of, it is stated that you are not allowed to discuss what your affiliate rate is with anyone else. So if you're not allowed to discuss that, but that clearly has an impact on the tokenomics of the project, is that ethically sound? Just a question. So here's another one along the same way that says the street runs both ways. The content creator with the affiliate code selling that, and you on the other end as an investor has to evaluate your own situation. Once again, we're talking about personal responsibility. So I thought they were more negative. There's a lot more positive. I think we had some negative ASIC ones, just general kaspa fanboys that were mad. Here, let's clear that up too, because a lot of people seem to think this is always a fun one. This is everybody's favorite, I guess. How long ago was it? It's always funny how if you word things in certain ways, people get upset. But this was on May 27th of 2023. Let's go here. And let's do this. So I sold kaspa a year ago, a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, I think. Anyways, and I bought Bitcoin ASICs, and that's just because I saw this coming. So if you guys can lay that all to rest, don't worry. Selling the kaspa and getting Bitcoin miners was the correct move. Don't worry. It was fine. I'll be fine. You're never going to hit. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. You're never going to hit the top, the perfect top. You're not going to. So put that to bed. You're only going to get yourself in trouble. Look at the macro overall trends and play off of that, right? I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.